We were speaking the other day of spirals and their uses, where they come from, that sort of thing, and also of experience of past lives. And I realised that I'd got a few ways of, I say, experiencing past lives or other lives. You would have to uh, sort of subscribe to the notion of reincarnation and that sort of thing. But if you do subscribe to that notion that there are other lifetimes that you have experienced, then it's always fun to try and access parts of those lives. Anyway, the notion of past lives. In the past, I have done little exercises where I try to access that, and I can't say that it's been all that successful, to be honest. Obviously, I've had experiences, but whether they were of other lifetimes, um, or whether it's just my imagination, I can't really be sure. And that brings me to a quote from Dion Fortune, who has that the actual experience or memory of another lifetime is usually, and I highlight usually, accompanied by emotions, feelings, actual feelings and emotions along with it. And that, she called it, I believe, that's a good indicator that what you are experiencing is could well be a past life. So with that in mind, we go through today two that kind of use the spiral idea. I suppose before I do that, I should run through a couple of things about spirals. I don't think we really know the actual meaning of spirals in prehistory and so forth, but we have a few ideas. And they're some of the oldest shapes to be found in ancient art. And I'm reading this from my notes, such as Newgrange. And we don't know for sure the spiritual relevance of that. Today we consider them as feminine in nature and representing life cycles, which is possibly why they're used in this particular method of experimenting with seeing past lives. Death and rebirth, but they're found in nature. Of course, you've got the things like the Fibonacci sequence and the I forget the name of it, but that mathematical arrangement, so sacred geometry and so on. And they can represent natural laws, so primal truths perhaps. And certain spirals represent mathematical truths, as I said, the Fibonacci sequence. Oh, and I've jotted down the golden ratio. That was the one I couldn't remember what it was called. And they can be symbols of change, of growth, of entropy, transformation, and infinity. And we have things like the triskele and the triquetra, which are variations of the spiral. Now they can be used obviously in spell work, so for decreasing work you would work from the outside, so working from the outside and moving inward in ever decreasing circles. And for increasing work, you might want to start from the middle and obviously work outwards. It has also been thought that perhaps the spiral can represent portals into other dimensions. So again, it's a really good one for an experiment with time travel and other lifetimes. Another interesting use of spirals is in devil traps. So something to confound evil spirits so that they are drawn in and they have to follow, almost like a maze. They have to follow this spiral and they become entrapped. So that's quite an interesting one. So the first exercise that I have here is based on a ritual that comes from Laurie Cabot, and I'm not sure which book this came from. I think it could be Spells and Enchantments. I read it a while ago, but I was also reminded of this particular one by White Raven. So if that's a really good one, her videos are great, really great. So go and check that one out. But the first thing to do is to cut out a piece of card and then put your spiral on. It doesn't have to be, I mean, this is just, you could do a black spiral on there. I just happen to really like this card. So for this, she recommends mugwort, jasmine flowers, and a little benzoin oil. So I did happen to have these. So this is mugwort. These are jasmine flowers and benzoin essential oil. So I did actually happen to have all this, which was great, but I don't think it really matters if you don't. I think you can still go ahead and do the, have a little play with the ritual. I did change her idea a little bit because I think she recommends anointing, a black candle as well, anointing your candle and surrounding it with the herbs. But what I did instead was in a little sort of charm spell jar like this, I made an oil with the mugwort, with the jasmine flowers. I also used a little bit of rosemary, which I have here. I popped some rosemary in because rosemary, it's good for so many things, but also for remembrance and remembering. So I used rosemary as well. So I popped a little bit of each of those into my jar, and then I put some carrier oil in. I think I used olive oil, and then put a few drops of the benzoin in there and mixed it all up, and then sat with it for a little while with my intent and what I wanted to achieve with that oil. And then I did use the oil to anoint my candle, but I also drew a spiral on my forehead, as well as using this, drawing an inward spiral because of the idea of regression. Even though when we say past lives, we could be just talking other lives or lives on a different arc to, everything happening together, but on a different arc. But I don't think it would really make much difference which way you draw your spiral, but that's how I chose to do mine. And then you would lie down with this on your forehead over your third eye area, so the middle of your forehead, and go into a meditative state and just see what happens. Maybe something will come up, maybe it won't, but when you've finished, you can make notes of anything that you experience with that meditation, and obviously keep all your bits and pieces again for, if you want to have another go with that. So the other one that I will mention here is to do with consulting the Akashic records. Now, I wrote this down a fair while ago and I really can't remember my source for this. So I'll just run through what I have jotted down here. So, assuming a relaxed state, as it's another meditative sort of one, begin to concentrate on your third eye area. Now you might want to use this again. If you've made one of these, you may want to use it again, and set your intention to consult the Akashic records and have a question ready. Be aware of your chakra whirling, so that's your third eye chakra, whirling in a clockwise direction, and its colour is a vibrant indigo. Once you have asked your question, keep focused on the chakra and wait, and take note of any images, sounds, any other sensations, as you would in the last exercise. Anything that you experience, really. Before you finish, give thanks for the information received and return to a normal sort of breathing rhythm. I should say that with both these exercises, it is a good idea to speak and write your intent. So you may be wanting to experience a specific time, or you may be addressing some specific issues from past lifetimes. There's all sorts of ways you can use this, but it's a good idea to both speak it and write it. So have fun with that. I hope it brings some results for you.